shit because they've had
so many different guests. Yeah.
over 1,500 episodes now, and it just like they set it. You know, I mean, he is there in the background, and he's got his mixer, and I know he uses an Apollo as well. But it's so nice. I can't imagine he's going in after every episode and mixing the vocals like 3.5 hour podcast plus editing the video clips from each camera angle and stuff. So I imagine he just got to have a template where you set it. It sounds great. Maybe adjust the gain, but
I don't know. They're making so much money off those that they could probably just hire someone to go through RX everything and edit it.
They might.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more than just the two of them on that team? Like, you never see or hear about anyone else?
Probably outsourced for sure.
Yeah.
Did you see that they've sold everything to Spotify? They're taking everything off YouTube.
I know. I know.
It's a huge deal.
Like, I'm happy for them. That's gigantic. Apparently, it's about $100 million. And the entire back catalog is going to be available there, but they're going to be off of YouTube.
Yeah, I read something about it being off YouTube, and then I looked and it's all still there. So I don't know.
Maybe it hasn't happened
how much
yet.
of that is legit.
Because I'm pretty sure in a recent episode he does like 8 minutes of ads all the time, and then he does a little intro. And I'm pretty sure he said we're not going to be on YouTube anymore.
Oh, okay.
Once this all goes through, which is going to be weird. I guess, does Spotify have video?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they do either.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But I guess the way everything's going with the phones, it'll probably be just, we'll be watching videos on there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm still going to follow him regardless. I'm going to have to get Spotify. I mean, I'm a Joe Rogan junkie, man. I'm like, fuck, I listen to every episode pretty much. Few people I specifically ignore, but for the most part, anytime there's a new person, I'm checking that shit out. So yeah, we'll see.
So you're Apple Music guy then?
Yeah. Apple Music, definitely. That's been fun since I got that. I've gone down some rabbit holes, man, through different decades, and
you find the discoveries pretty good on there then?
The playlists they put together are smart, but just the fact that we have every album ever made in our pocket, it's like, hey, I don't know Bob Dylan's catalog very well. Let me go and do some homework on Bob Dylan, or the Eagles, or
so you
stuff
find
that's
there's more of that stuff on there than Spotify?
No, I'm pretty sure Spotify has equally the amount of all of the way Netflix has millions of movies. Apple Music and Spotify, I'm sure, are pretty neck and neck as far as the content they offer. Mm-hmm. But I've never explored Spotify's
I was Apple
library.
Music for the longest time, and then I just found, like, as a producer artist, just the way collaborations and stuff are split up on Spotify makes more sense these days. Whereas Apple, they kind of get lost and mixed and matched a lot. So Spotify is kind of a cleaner way to find stuff on the artists that you like.
Yeah, I feel like it's the number one right now. Like, it's got that spot. Apple's gunning for that spot, but Spotify owns that spot, the number one streaming platform. All of the generation, like, before, or not before us, the younger generation, younger than us, the kids in their 20s right now, they're Spotify. Like, that's what the kids are using these days, you know what I mean? And those are the influencers, the current generation, people that are making cool new shit. That's who they're targeting. And if they're using it, then that's a sign for me that that's the popular one.
I'm actually surprised that Amazon hasn't taken off yet, especially like with all the Alexas and stuff. They're actually like connected to Spotify, which I thought it would be a smarter move for them to just always link that to their Amazon Music store.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little bit newer to it. They're getting better. Their Amazon Prime is good. But you got to remember, I mean, Apple's been doing this since how old is iTunes? So they've been in the game. They've figured it out. Amazon's got the money to try anything they want, but to make it all work together. I think they still have a little bit of work to do. So we'll see. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're saying Bezos is going to be a trillionaire by 2026.
Jeez.
He's going to be the first trillionaire.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so they're fine. They could try anything they want. They could start their own Olympics if they wanted. Like, they could fucking anything, man. So we'll see.
Crazy.
But anyhow, welcome to the show. Here we fucking are.
Thanks,
you made
man.
it.
It's been a while coming, so yeah.
Thank you for being here, man. How have you been? You been keeping busy?
Good, yeah. Busy as of the last couple of weeks. As things have kind of loosened up and everyone's keen to get back to work, which is very refreshing.
Yeah.
Working remotely is just not the same as being with an artist and getting better takes and vibing with someone and not overthinking things. So that's been cool.
So that's a part of music production that you enjoy then, is it? Like being with someone, the collaboration aspect of it?
100%, yeah. It's my favorite thing by far. So, yeah, I just like to put the best people together and try to come up with the best song, and that's more of my focus than anything else.
Yeah, having a vision, hey?
Yeah,
knowing how to put the pieces together. Mm-hmm. Who have you been working with lately?
Lately, it's been J-Morn, Sharuk, Messiah Prophet. We just finished up an EP, actually. That's going to be coming out soon.
Oh, cool. I did not realize you guys knew each other.
Yeah.
I had him on the podcast like maybe 6 months ago. He's a really good guy.
Yeah,
awesome.
Super talented.
So,
yeah, it's like a basketball-themed EP. It's, pretty versatile, pretty interesting. So, yeah.
Okay.
Look forward to that one.
Are you... So, in what capacity are you involved in that? Mixing and in engineering, or also making beats?
Yeah, pretty much everything. So the first one, we just kind of got together and I made a beat just before he got there and recorded him, and like that's just progressed into a full song where I've mixed it and probably get it mastered by somebody else just to have like a different set of ears. But yeah, then we just end up doing another 3, which are kind of different genres, and they all kind of tie in together, like the delays of one track moving to the next one. And
oh, I love that shit.
Yeah. And we got like the sound bites for like basketball excerpts and stuff like that. So it's all pretty cohesive. So start to finish of that, which is pretty cool.
Well, the last time I made a project where one song blended into the next, it wasn't in Logic or Pro Tools. There was like another application that I was using, where you'd load your masters in, and then you could like move them to crossfade, and or are you doing it all in one DAW?
I just did it in Ableton, yeah.
In Ableton, eh? Okay.
Ableton is just so versatile for all that stuff. Yeah, get pretty creative with the automation. So
yeah, I used to love that shit, man. When I was a teenager, listening to CDs.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell when one song ended and one started. There'd be like a skit in between them, like some of the Tribe stuff, a lot of the Wu-Tang stuff, and it's just like one cinematic experience. It's not like song fades out, brand new beat, song fades out.
Listen start to finish, which was
you just put that on and close your eyes, and you're in New York City. And yeah, that was a whole new world when I discovered that you could do that. Songs weren't just, like I said, just one piece ending and one piece beginning. It could be a whole thing. Mm-hmm. And obviously they weren't the first to do that. I mean, there's, the Pink Floyds and Led Zeppelins and all the psychedelic rock, they were been doing that. But for hip hop, that was really eye opening. To see that, some of those skits, man, they were phenomenal. The Raekwon and Ghostface album, Only Built for Cuban Links, might be the most cinematic piece of music I've ever heard. I mean, you can hear the concrete reverb out on the sidewalk. Like, I don't know how they did it. They bring out like boom microphones into the streets, and like they're at a crack deal in an alleyway. Like, it sounds so authentic. Like, oh man, you hear the crackheads running by and like the bus, and it's just like, whoa,
Crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that about like hip hop, just having like the real elements as much as possible. Like I always try to keep the mic on when we're in the room and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's when you get the best stuff. As soon as you hit record, like in front of someone, they kind of change and you don't get the real
I know.
authentic thing. It's the same with like even the vocal booth. Like in my studio, I've got the mic, right next to where I'm sitting. So there's no like, go in the control room and people get a little bit anxious or whatever.
So you have a booth?
No booth, so you're right there.
They're
next to the
in
artist.
the room with you. Yeah, in the control room.
It's all treated and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's what Denton does downstairs. A lot of people like that. A lot of the big guys when they come through, that's how they record. Killy, he's always just there next to Pro Tools.
Yeah.
So that works well for you, hey? And people seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's funny. I do actually really like that. You get like artists like Boslin and stuff who are a bit more hands-on as well, and they can sit at the laptop and move some stuff around and get the next take.
Absolutely.
It's just more efficient.
Absolutely, yeah. The people that know what they're doing, that have their chops or their studio etiquette really nailed down. They have the experience. They know what they're looking at when they're looking over the engineer's shoulder, and they can kind of guide you. Hey, move this here. Let's move that there. Let's chop the beat out here, type of thing. Really hands on. But that comes with time. That's you can't just show up. A lot of the newest I've found from experience from the thousands of sessions I've done, the newer artists, a lot of them like to be in the booth because it's kind of, I don't know, maybe they feel safer, they feel
interesting. Yeah, they feel more
isolated, more comfortable, more safe in the booth. But then the thing about that is the way the booth works downstairs, we don't have a piece of glass where you can look through and see them. So I have to be really careful about the tone when I'm hearing the mic coming through the speakers. And I can be like, the amount of times where I hear them recording or talking, and I'll hit the talkback mic and be like, yo, are you reading off your phone? Be like, I can tell. I walk in and they're like, I'm like, no, you got to face the mic. You're like, let's put your phone back here. Talk into the microphone.
Yeah, you can get like quite a different sound even by the way your mic's angled and stuff.
100%.
Voice, so you can basically like EQ. You can get like higher or lower end by just your tilt.
Just the mic placement.
Yeah. And compression as well, how close you are.
That's funny you said that. Who the fuck was it? Al Schmidt on Mix with the Masters was talking about that. He says, I barely EQ. He says, I do my EQing with my mic choice and mic placement. And we're talking about Al Schmidt. I mean, he's like the most awarded engineer of all time. This guy's got like 20 plus Grammys. He's in his 80s, so living legend, right? But when somebody who knows every in and out of what they're talking about, it was really interesting to hear somebody say that. I'd never considered it that way.
Oh, for sure. It's good if you got a lot of mic choices and stuff, though. That's pretty hard to come by these days, having like 5 or 6 different mics that are all top level,
Yeah. I mean, if the commercial studios of the past, that was standard. But nowadays, a lot of people are like yourself. You're running your own show, and or like us here. There's 3 mics up here. I'd like to have a U87 and a Sony 800 and fucking
U67 as well.
The Manly reference cardioid. I'd like to have those, but we get good sounds with. Over the years, I've gotten way better at, like we've just been talking about, mic placement and not being lazy with that recording stage, man. Because holy fuck, if you skip that, it's.
Especially as a producer, that's the most important thing that I find, because the first takes generally are the best takes. Just because you're getting, emotion is more important than quality. Like you want to really sell the song rather than just be this polished thing that feels, emotionless. So
yes, agreed.
I always make sure, even if I'm doing some demos, that even the first take it sounds good. Often. Yeah, that makes it to the end.
I find a lot. I mean, I 100% hear what you're saying about emotion, because you can't EQ that after. You can't add. There's no plugin for that. But I find a lot of people, it takes them about an hour in. They're like, okay, let's just scrap that. I want to redo my hook. I'm warmed up now. I find that more often than not is that the first hour, I would say, is a warm up session.
Interesting.
Maybe it's just the guys that I've been working with, but yeah, there's definitely a period in the beginning where they're adapting, they're trying it out. Maybe there's a new flow or new voice they're trying, and they might feel like they've got it. I've got the level set right, hitting the compressor just right. Everything's dialed in. And then they hear it back and they say, no, that's not it. I figured it out now.
Yeah.
You know, after 23 takes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's definitely moments, like, it's not a make or break thing, but I find, just like the main point is, like, you just want to be set up, because a lot of the time, like, especially hit songs like, you know, what's the one, Sheck West, right? You know, first take all the way through. Like,
you hear that.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you hear stories like that for sure. Apparently, Dre and 50 Cent made Into Club in half an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe that.
Makes sense. They just didn't overthink it.
No, I mean, yeah. People forget, before Get Rich or Die Trying, 50 Cent had already put out a bunch of music, but he was not as known. I thought for the longest time that was his debut, and then I realized, no.
Yeah.
Before he got shot, he was making like hip hop, like, wow.
It's the old overnight sensation thing that everyone thinks is a thing, but
the first, well, not the first coming out, but the big impression is the first impression. That's not how it was for him.
Yeah, it's usually got some financial backing and everything by that point. A clear plan.
Yeah. A mill.
And we're like, oh, that was overnight. That was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, man. You mentioned something a little bit ago about sending your stuff to another engineer to do mastering. Now, this is something I'm really curious about, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because maybe we can dive into that a bit more. With the stuff that I'm doing, the hip hop trap stuff, I don't know what it's like in the rock world. I can't speak for that, or pop and whatnot. I do a bit of R&B here and there. There's this expectation that it's a mix and master. It's like one word. It's like strawberry banana. It's just one thing. I would love to get to the point where I can encourage the artist to consider sending it to someone else to really finish it. But I mean, I would say 99, like 100% of the time, I'm doing the mastering also.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you? What's the percentage for you, and how do you feel about, you know, sending someone the master for a final check?
Yeah, honestly, I do a lot of, like, you know, most of my stuff is I'm mastering it, and I master a lot of clients' work. But I just find lately with my own projects, when I'm really trying to push them, I'm just trying to get other ears on there and see how far I can take it. And I've tried like a bunch of engineers for some stuff and haven't really been blown away, but Jamie Cuse from Nova Studios is just, you know, he's just on another level with some stuff, and he made me realize that mastering can actually, like, especially the type he does, which is more creative, which is probably a little bit of mixing as well. But
maybe, you know, some stem mastering, or is it just
no?
Really
it's on
involved?
The stereo, but it's just involved. You know? Like, it's not just like running an algorithm or, you know, tweaking some EQs. It's actually turning up some stuff here and there. And you know, mid-side processing and stuff like that. So especially when you've heard something like 100,000 times over, to, you know, send it to someone. Yeah,
that's what it is. You're like, I'm done. I've hit my wall here. I don't know. I've flipped this over every possible way that I can flip it and look at it at every angle. So,
and plus, it's always just a good way for like personal development, right? You can just go, okay, so he's, you know, giving me some more bass, or, you know, whatever it is, like some more stereo width in the top end. Then you can go, you know, you get a few songs mastered by different people. Maybe that's always happening. It's just a good rule that you probably need to do that in your mixes or or whatever.
Yeah, that's something as well that, you know, I haven't really had the chance to get that feedback. And I would value that tremendously, hearing a professional mastering engineer critique my mixes in a perfect room with $20,000 speakers. And just like you said, if you start getting that a few times, you might make adjustments on your end as to what you're doing. It might change the perspective a little bit for you, because
Definitely. A lot of it could even just be your speakers you're listening on, stuff like that too. So, and how loud you're listening to stuff. That's a big one.
That's huge.
I like stuff loud.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, that's the, it goes hand in hand. Like the stuff that we're working on, it's meant to rattle the trunk. Mm-hmm. It's meant to be played as loud as it possibly can. Like, you want to hear the 808 and you want to hear the snare, the clap, basically tearing your head off. Mm-hmm. And man, the amount of times where, like, specifically the mix I'm working on right now, the first piece of, like, the first request before I even sent back a mix, just, hey, here's our mix, here's our stems. The problem we're having is we turn it up really loud, we hear an industry mix and we hear ours, and there's this gigantic discrepancy in volume and size and width and everything turned up really loud, you know? That's the main focus right now. It seems like maybe I'm talking about the loudness wars that I don't even realize it, but that's what seems to matter a lot to clients nowadays, especially not the uneducated, I won't say, but the less, the newer artists that are just, they don't even maybe know how to describe what they want in a good mix. They're just like, make it sound fucking loud, make it booming. That's the only request. And then you have free reign to do all your creative shit. But.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that that's kind of the standard, and I'm the same. I always want things to be as hard, like hitting and loud and everything perfect. But then I find like the songs I actually listen to in my own time aren't that. So it's actually,
I know.
I'll even tell myself, I'm like, oh, I wish this mix was better. But then I'm like, why do I like this song so much? Maybe this mix is fucking perfect. Maybe it's not supposed to be this clear, or like, so now I kind of experiment with, like, I put out a collaboration with a lo-fi artist today, and I didn't mix that at all. And it was just kind of, let's just put it out there because it's, it's good to try different things.
It was more about the
vibe.
Feeling and the vibe than can we hit -7?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's probably -11 like everything else on Spotify anyway, because they just turn that shit up or down. But.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like Garth Richardson, who's the founder of the school I went to, in an interview that I was in the audience for, and I was, it was a conference. Anyhow, at the end of the conference, they got to the question about the loudness wars, and everyone chimed in and had their opinion and their little piece on it. And he just pulls the microphone up to his face and he goes, "Turn it fucking up." Like, there's a volume knob for a reason.
So true.
Unless it's on your iPhone, which does max out, but I mean, God, stereo, car stereo, I mean, TV goes loud, I listen, my TV is normally at 20, but it goes to 100 if I keep pressing the remote. So turn it up.
I feel like I'm the kind of person that just like turns shit up and down throughout the song anyway. It's like sometimes you want this, before it's about to drop, crank it. You just want that to hit harder and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's like an old DJ habit as well.
Oh,
like
really?
My worst habit when I was DJing was turning shit down to talk to people. Like, I would just get used to just like not being able to hear someone in the booth, and I would turn down the master fader so I could hear them, and then realize that I've just dipped the volume in the club.
Oh, oh my God. Would there be like sidechain compression normally for that, where the DJ, where you would talk over like radio sidechain, where you would talk and it would duck everything normally, or would you like how would that work as a?
Or for like talking on the mic?
Yeah, as a club DJ, I have no experience with that, so
that's basically how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just if someone's coming up to talk to you in your ear and you can't hear them, especially places that don't have like the booth monitors, and you're just using your headphones to hear your stuff. I would just do that by accident.
I didn't know that you DJ'd. How long did you do that for?
Probably about 3 or 4 years. Yeah, played like all around Vancouver. Actually had a residency at a strip club as well. It was
Must have been fun.
Yeah.
And playing your own stuff or mixing playlists of other things and
a bit of both.
Making it fun. Yeah,
A bit of both for sure. That's good to sneak your own tracks in there all the time.
Did anything from the live side of sound help you with studio stuff? Or translate over?
Probably a lot of things I wouldn't even notice. Definitely like keeping momentum in a song, like trying not to get it boring at any points. Like, because when you're DJing, you're mixing out after like a minute and a half generally, or 2 minutes. So, just keeping elements that are interesting there and getting to the fun part early. Not having crazy long build-ups and stuff.
Yeah, it's all about keeping the people dancing. Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose the energy in the club. Keeping the momentum constantly. And that is something that is really hard to do in producing a record. When you have, because no radio song's a minute. Mm-hmm. So you've got to keep shit fun and interesting for 3.5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of that gets overlooked.
Yeah, it's definitely getting easier though. Like songs now are like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
They are getting shorter, aren't they?
And it's kind of a tactic in a way where you kind of don't give them the last hook, or you do something where it's going to make them play the song back so they get a little bit more.
It's weird, hey? It's a psychological thing. It leaves you wanting more. Mm-hmm. You're not full. You know, I'm still hungry. Give me that again.
Yeah.
Give me another scoop.
It's almost hard to listen to older songs now when you just like, it's like 7 minutes or something. You get 3 minutes and you're like, I can't do it.
Man, what's the last time I heard a 7-minute song? Like, Jesus. What kind of stuff are you listening to? That would have been 7 minutes.
Oh, fuck. Good question. I can't really think on the top of my head.
But longer than 2.5.
Probably just like rock stuff that I would have listened to in high school.
Like progressive rock.
Like fucking System of a Down and Offspring and shit like that.
Oh, wicked. Yeah, I remember those.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. So well, all that stuff's so well engineered. My God.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, speaking of Garth, he was the one who recorded the Rage album.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah,
which is
man.
Super cool.
Yeah, he used to tell stories about that. Every once in a while, he'd pop into and interrupt class, just pop in and just like start talking, and it was cool shit, man. Yeah,
there's such a good history in Vancouver with the rock stuff.
Red Hot Chili Peppers plaques and stuff in the hallway, and my God,
even AC/DC still record out here.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just the engineer that did like Thunderstruck and everything, he's out here. So.
Oh fuck! I did not know that.
Yeah, there's so many artists like that. You just don't even know. They just sneak in here and doing stuff.
Yeah, Vancouver's cool, man. And now there's going to be a whole new generation of, I truly believe that with the circle that we're, the Boslins and the Jamons and the Jujus and all these people that come in and around 2-Track or are related to the 2-Track family, there's going to be a whole new movement and a generation. I feel like they're going to be talking about that in the next generation of kids. There's really something special going on here that's bubbling, and there's so much of it, and it's about to burst.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, everyone's actually working together now, which is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, before it would just be like one artist and a producer doing their thing together, and now it's not uncommon to have 3 producers on a track and couple of artists and songwriters and whatever.
Well, that's what you see when you go to, you Wikipedia the big artists, the biggest artists, let's say. Just throw it anyone out there. I mean, there's rarely one producer on a, Ariana Grande record. It's four dudes.
Yeah.
Another weird thing I noticed, speaking of Ariana Grande, was it Ariana Grande or Selena Gomez? One of the pop girls, the younger pop girls. I was listening to her new album because it came up on Apple Music. We had the HomePod on, and I was like, "Fuck, this sounds good." And naturally, I wanted to go and see who mixed which songs. Manny Marroquin was there, Tony Maserati was there, Serban Ganea was there, like the holy trinity, right? But they had 2 mastering engineers, and different songs were mastered by different guys. And I've never seen that before.
Interesting.
And I ran it by a friend of mine who I really respect, who's also an engineer and in a band, and really knows what he's talking about, to offer a different perspective. And he said a lot of these top producer engineer guys, specifically producers though, have their go-to mastering guy that they only fuck with.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I produce this, he used Max Martin as an example. Like, Max Martin only has a handful of, like, a team that he can only touch his records.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's like part of it. It's like, as much as we're always looking for the best product possible by trying everyone, it gets to a point where there's just that familiarity and that trust, and it's part of the fun, working with people that you like, and you don't need to always be shopping everything around to 50 mastering engineers, like.
Yeah, that's when it gets crazy too, right? Because it's like, that's not going to change how much people enjoy it, and you're just getting picky now. Like, let's settle down.
Yeah, that's always the balance with what we do, right? It's just, how do we make this the best possible, but then just not go crazy?
Yeah, we've got to keep it within reason here, and just let's make it about the feeling.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most important thing. Every song I've spent like weeks and weeks on just sucks. Like, it just it's just not well received because it's just over polished and lifeless.
I know, right?
And lacks kind of the direction, because it's just a bit of everything.
Yeah, maybe because it's being forced also to a certain extent.
Yeah,
like I mentioned, 50 and Dre making Into Club in half an hour. It's like one of the biggest songs of the 2000s. I can see that happening. I can see that falling together. Sometimes shit just falls into place, and sometimes really well recorded sessions mix themselves, and you've got one compressor on there and a little bit of EQ. You're like, shit, this vocal sounds great. I'm not gonna keep touching it. I might ruin it.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of like older music that was like that as well, that you don't really consider. You just think, music used to have so much more that went into it. But, guys like Phil Collins and stuff, a lot of that was like recorded in his house and was kind of done in a day, one song. So
sure. Yeah, a lot of it. Like,
we have this thought that it's like music these days is so quick and simple because of the technology, but a lot of the gear then was like a lot better at capturing stuff. So
yes,
there was less tweaking of a million plugins. So,
well, that's the thing, right? Like, if you've got if he has the whole band in there, and they have, let's just say there's 10 mics on the drum kit, but they're all really nice mics, and each one of them's got a Neve mic pre, and then it's all going to a console. So there's just all that richness and saturation and harmonics right out of the gate. Like you said, then you don't need to add 50 plugins and an ozone widener and a sonic exciter and a fucking all this shit,
Yeah, it's got all that natural noise that we're trying to add these days.
Yeah, the depth noise. Yeah, so I can see that, and then the whole band there rehearsed to a T, and then hammering it out in a couple takes, and you choose the best take, and that's the record.
They're just high on heroin as well, and they're just fucking having the best time.
Yeah, man. So, but also, you know, different genre. I don't know anything. I've never recorded like a full band, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just imagining, or just based on videos and documentaries I've seen, right? But
yeah, the studio I've got up the road, it's Sooner Studios is the actual building there, so they've got like all bands coming in and out across the hall all the time. So
oh, wicked.
It's pretty cool. I can just always pick the brain of the guy there and see how he's doing things and steal his bass guitars and shit like that when I need them. So
so you have a space now. I thought your studio was in your home.
Used to be in Gastown. I had like a big studio apartment, but yeah, I've had a studio in East Van since September.
Oh, wicked. Okay,
Yeah.
which is separate from...
It's like in their building, but it's you know, my clients that come in and out, and I'm the only like hip hop guy there. So
Oh, dude, I got to come see this.
absolutely, yeah.
When are you gonna invite me over? I'm dying to see this now. Okay, fantastic. Tell me more about it. What kind of equipment have you got? Like, paint a picture for us.
Yeah, so it's just one room. I've got a couple of big couches there, so you get, I don't know, 6 or 7 people in there. Nothing too crazy where it's just a shit show. But yeah, I got the U87 into a Polo Twin. Got all the UAD preamps, plugins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Got Focal Twin speakers, some NS10s, MacBook Pro. That's it.
Yeah.
It's good to go these days. Pretty portable setup, but
That's
good
a
sound.
pretty fucking good start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the UAD stuff is so good, man. I remember the first time I set up my Apollo, and at the time I was using, everything was the same speakers, same computer. It was just the interface was the new piece I was introducing, and I just taking a break from setting everything up, watching a YouTube video, and I couldn't believe how much cleaner a YouTube video sounded coming through those converters, and the quality of the interface. I was like, oh my God, this is what it's all about. This is pro gear. Like this is why we invest in upgrades.
Yeah. It just makes everything easier and quicker. Like that was the best part about it. Just you're not tweaking things forever, because you can get good sounds out of any cheap equipment if you put enough time into it. Mm-hmm. But you know, now it's, you know, if I can bang out a song a day easy, start to finish, which is, you know, you kind of have to these days to be competitive, and that's more of an important thing to me.
When Kaltar was here, he was talking about his recording process, also using an Apollo, and he was saying how he really likes using the plugins in record mode and committing to sounds.
Yeah, I do that too.
Do you do that as well?
I don't print auto-tune. I mean, like, I know there's some artists that you could do that with, like Chris Brown. He always prints his auto-tune, and he just knows it so well.
He can sing as well.
Exactly. You know, like when you're at that level, it's like whatever, like it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always print my EQs, and like I use the 1073 preamp and just print that settings.
Yeah.
Because it just, yeah, you don't need to fuck with it after that. Sounds good. You can reverbs and all the rest of it. After.
What else have you got? Like, what would a typical vocal chain be like if you're just tracking and then you know you're going to mix it after, but you just want to get a good sound, like right out of the gate?
For the artist to hear, just generally just that with an LA2A and just whatever reverb that's in there in the UAD stuff. And then when I bring it into Ableton, I always use the 1073, then a LA2A, RVox to bring things up closer.
Everyone says that about the RVox.
It's a beast, man. It just everything cuts through. And
even
then,
the top guys are using RVox. Like I mentioned Mix with the Masters earlier, and I subscribe to that and I watch every episode, and you wouldn't believe, like, the top guys are like RVox.
Yeah, I haven't found anything that just brings it like front and center the way that thing does.
Yeah.
Yeah, then just a bunch of EQs, like Pro Q3. Sometimes I'll use like the SSL G console, just if I want to like try some more colory stuff.
Yeah, those EQs sound great, don't they?
Sometimes the Pro Q is a bit like clinical, that you know you might be wasting time on some stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Valhalla reverbs or the Lexicon sometimes.
Is that the UAD lexicon?
Yeah, I used to have one before that. I can't remember who made it, but then I switched to that. That's mainly for like pop vocals though, like really clean plates and stuff.
Yes.
And Echo Boy. It's always Echo Boy. It's the shit.
You know what? I'm gonna get Echo Boy. I use the repeater, which is from the Slate Digital bundle, which is really cool as well. But I have a handful of other stuff from Sound Toys, and they're all my favorite plugins. So I'm like, I gotta get Echo Boy next. I mean,
I finally just bought the whole console the other day, and my favorite is Pan Man for some reason for like mixing. It's just super creative at like just giving things their own space and movement better than anything else I found. So I'm using that on everything at the moment, all percussion and vocals. You can do like it's called like a shimmer or something, where it just basically gives something a little bit of movement left and right.
Oh, but it probably gives the illusion that it's more stereo or something,
it just
right?
like lets everything fit into place and seems more natural, which is really cool.
I started using stereo panning on hi-hats, and it's just like a 16th, not 16th, well, it's a 16 bar pattern. So it's pretty slow, but it's going back and forth. And because the hi-hats are like pretty high up, everything's cut off, below. Really neat, man. It just gives it this texture.
Yeah, definitely. You can go crazier with the more high-end information. Or your lows, you want to just keep nice and centered. Yeah.
And do you like to put a lot of stuff on your mix bus, not a lot of stuff on your mix bus, or does it depend?
It depends. Generally these days less, to be honest, because I'm doing way more creative mixing as I go. Standard clips and Pro Ls are pretty much the staple.
Yeah.
And then Ozone. Ozone's really good for just finding out what you need to do. Like you can do like the automatic stuff and then it'll do like an EQ where it thinks if you've got too much low end or not enough low end, which is sometimes pretty hard to tell.
Oh, it's got an intuitive thing that it does for you?
Yeah, it's pretty clever. So I'll use that and kind of then, turn it off and on and see if that's actually made an improvement and then do my own tweaks and stuff. So
are those based on presets or is it actually analyzing
it? It analyzes it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I might try that.
It's pretty good. Especially if you're like just doing a quick like session with somebody and you've got to bounce out a quick master that they're going to show everyone in the world and you want it to sound like not shitty, So
and they're going to go directly from your studio to the car and turn it up as loud as it goes. Yeah. And it better not sound fucked. It better not sound too boomy or whatever, right? Yeah. Or just the right amount of bass. Yeah. Which is always the hardest thing to get. Yeah. The low end,
Yeah, even with like a good setup, it's still hard because your ears just get used to, especially if you've been working for 3 hours or something like that. You just kind of don't have that reference if you haven't got that time to give it a bit of a break.
Yeah. Do you like to switch between your monitors and then switch to a pair of headphones too if you're working on a mix and then back and forth?
I used to do that a lot because I was only on headphones for years because I made like a point of being able to, if I need to, I can do a song anywhere in the world. That was like more of a thing that I was into.
Yeah.
Working in cafes and planes and wherever.
Right.
But lately I just find if I can get things to sound good on the speakers, I've got the 2 sets of speakers, right? So if I listen on the NS10s and there's something that sounds harsh, I just fix that. And then, it's pretty good. Obviously, the car test is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That one gets a lot. But I find that's also deceiving as well. Like there's some shit like that sounds terrible in the car, like, Future Mask Off. For some reason it's just so much bass in that song that it just doesn't sound clean or nice. But, that song's just such a hit.
It's what the kids are listening to.
So, it's just that balance between producer and engineer where you just got to get the vibe and not go too crazy. So
that's an interesting point that you just said there about the balance between producer and engineer, because on one side your engineer brain is very technical and about making things the way they should be, or a lot of it's fixing, a lot of it's solving puzzles, right, and fixing problems. And and then the engineer or the producer part is the creative, the feeling and the vibe and keeping people's attention. But you're doing both.
It's often doing like it's breaking rules that makes a song cool sometimes. So yeah, you got to be careful not to get too caught up on all that.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you mean by breaking rules?
You know, like sometimes bass does sound good wide, very rarely, but you know, there is some pretty unique tracks where you listen to that, you're like, oh, that was some pretty cool, a cool technique that someone decided to do that you're taught definitely not to do. It's another one, like I guess like crazy boosts of EQs, right? Where engineers are taught just cut before you boost, but definitely some shit just sounds good when you crank an EQ like 50,000 dB and then you make like a completely new sound out of the resonance or something that just has never been done.
Yeah, when you really stop and listen to Travis Scott vocals, there's so much bass in his vocal.
Oh, really?
I mean, the Drake vocal is so ultra digital and clean. And a lot of the trap vocals, the Migos vocals, they're just really crispy, really clean. But you go listen to Travis Scott like really big and focus on the vocal. It's like
interesting.
It's like bass boosted on his vocal, and as well as Mike Dean's blown eardrums cranking fucking 5K to the moon. But it really, like, I feel like that's an example of breaking rules.
Really? That's interesting.
The Travis Scott
I've never
sound,
picked
man.
up on that. I haven't listened to like that much Travis Scott, but yeah, definitely going to go do that tonight.
And it doesn't sound wrong. Normally I would cut everything below 90 or so on the vocal, but yeah, I guarantee you they're not.
Interesting. Is it clashing with anything?
When I listen to, I've mentioned this before on the show, like, because it really stood out to me, but listen to some of those Travis Scott songs, specifically the album he did with, was it one of the Migos guys? People are listening right now, are dying. Quavo, Huncho Quavo, that's the one. Anyhow, but it's like there's the beat and then there's the vocal, which is just this thing over the whole beat. It's not in the mix. It's this just gigantic, messy, crispy, bassy thing. But it sounds cool. Like it works. It just like it's rule breaking for sure. It's not the way it's supposed to, but it's like.
I guess now like kicks are kind of getting quieter, and it's just more 808. You can probably fit more of that in because you're losing that 100 hertz kick drums that everyone was always cranking before.
Yeah, the punchy part of it without the low part of it. Yeah. So, I don't know. These are the things that I can't turn that part of my brain off, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long time since I've just been able to listen to a song for a song.
For a song, yeah.
I mean, it's...
Especially when you go to, like, the club, when we could go to clubs and shit. And then you can just hear shit and it just rules.
Yeah, when you're hearing stuff you don't hear in your own studio, and you're like, whoa.
You're trying to have a good time, then you have to get twice as drunk.
Yeah, to like turn off your analytical engineer brain and just let me just dance, okay? Oh man, yeah, constantly. It's terrible, but it's made me better because I'm just obsessed.
Yeah,
listening, dissecting, lying in bed at night, mixing a song in my head, and it never ends.
Yeah, it's super addictive.
Yeah. But this past year's been huge growth.
That's good.
Huge growth.
Did you find with the quarantine stuff that you had more time to skill up on some things rather than just doing busy work?
Yeah, I've found a lot of growth hacks. My friend Atif called it growth hacking. Just going and watching a lot of videos, going and doing homework, not just, for the first, like I've been doing this like give or take 15, 16 years now, recording music in some capacity and making songs. For the first 13 years, I was doing it at a level. You know what I mean? Kind of just like, it wasn't, if you can see, people listening can see my hand, it was just going horizontally. Just, I'm progressing year after year, but I'm not going up like in a chart, in a PowerPoint presentation where they're like, look at our growth this quarter. I was just hovering, and it wasn't until I really applied myself and was like, okay, no, I'm taking this seriously now, that the growth started getting exponential. And now it's like I get to the thing I'm hearing in my head so much quicker. I get way better results than ever before. I feel confident playing a reference mix and then playing my mix, and I don't get that pit in my stomach like, oh fuck, here it comes. Yeah. This is gonna suck. Not as much, or if at all anymore. I mean, it's great, man, but it took like real focus. The same way like a professional athlete, you can play basketball for 15 years, but are you Kobe Bryant, like at practice 4 hours early and staying after shooting hoops? And I feel, I'm not saying I'm Kobe Bryant, but I'm saying I've really tried to adopt like a way stricter work ethic towards this shit. And
I've always found this is like the Olympics of music. Like it's, you know, what are we trying to do? We're trying to be the best.
Yeah.
So
and you know, our clients want to, they pay us money because they want their shit to sound better. And we're, you know, our competition is, you know, Alex Toomey and fucking Manny Marroquin, and like I said, all these guys like doing the big records out there. They're at the top of their game, and that's who we're striving to be. Those are the pros. Those are the all-stars, right? That is the level that we can attain, and it's so cool, like gunning for that constantly. Just like, wow, like let's just keep pushing. We can keep getting better, and it's addictive. Especially
now that we have so much access to their thoughts and their workflows. Like that's the coolest thing.
Oh my goodness.
Like it doesn't feel like this impossible thing. Like when you started out, you're like, oh, but they must have this $1 million equipment. And
that was the line I would say in my head all the time. They must have $1 million of equipment.
Yeah, and this whole team that works on shit when you're not like, that you don't see and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, you hear like some of the top guys like doing a mix down in an Uber because they couldn't get a studio.
Yeah, I heard that story. Yeah, man. But it's knowing your skills. It's knowing, like, you know, knowing your abilities and how to get to the result despite having the best equipment at the time or ever. I mean, a lot of these guys are, you know, Jason Joshua there's a couple of them where he shows you how he did a whole mix, all the plugins he uses, shows you every plugin and the settings, and you're like, wow, I have those plugins.
Yeah. And then you just realize that you suck.
It's just that I suck. It's just like we're playing with the same ball.
Yeah.
He's just got better dribbling skills than me.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point now, finally, where I've bought the plugins that I've wanted for a long time. It's a huge fucking cost, yeah.
It's an investment, man.
And now I have everything. It's fucking scary because it's only your skills.
Yeah.
So
yeah, maybe I won't use my best, you know, stereo widener. Maybe I'll hold off on that. Maybe I won't rely on it in mastering. I'll make it better in the mix because I know how. I have the technique.
Yeah, I just went and reorganized all my Ableton a couple of days ago. So I've got like a folder for stereo widening plugins and stuff like that. Oh yeah. Because, you know, I just go to my like top 5 all the time. Yeah. So now I can just open that folder and go, oh, just try this random no-name one that I downloaded after watching a tutorial that I forgot to use. And it's been pretty cool, actually, like especially for synths. I'm just using a bunch of random cheaper synths to get some cool sounds rather than just going at Omnisphere every time. Yeah.
Yeah, because you might not know what you're going to get. It might be a new thing. You might break a rule in the process. You know, it might surprise you.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing with what we do as well. We're like, you're trying to find some shitty sounds sometimes as well, and that's what makes it unique.
I got turned on to the stock Pro Tools Lo-Fi plugin.
Oh, those are great. I'm actually, that's the Air stuff, right?
No, it's not from the Air bundle. It's just it's like one of the comes standard with Pro Tools, but it's got a handful. It's like saturation and distortion and stuff, but it's super powerful and effective and does a job. It does a thing really well, and it comes with the program. It's like, man, I had no idea. That's like another one I got from Jason Joshua. Showing, hey, try this. It's free. Comes with your DAW, but it worked. This is how I did it, and it works really well.
So a lot of the Ableton stuff is crazy as well. Like you watch guys like Carmack, and they're using like mainly the Ableton stuff, and it's just fucking crazy
and getting ridiculous results.
Insane,
yeah. I mean, knowing how to use it and putting the hours in and just mastering it is better than having the most expensive compressor, but not knowing how to what the fuck to do with it. You know, do you know Mixbus TV? Have you ever checked his shit out?
I probably. Remind me.
I'll send you his YouTube page. I've learned more from him in like 6 months than, I mean, talk about growth hacking. And he has stuff that is paid. He has paid like full courses where you can download the multi-tracks and he shows you everything. But a lot of his free shit is like, I'm talking like secrets, dude. Stuff that no one ever else talks about. Stuff that I'm using now that is totally upped my game. He's this dude in California. He does a lot of rock stuff, but he also does some hip hop. I mean, he was the one who really turned me on to saturation, which has been a fucking whirlwind for me. Yeah, using more saturation.
Using Saturn.
The FabFilter Saturn is the one plugin I cannot live without.
Yeah. Oh, you know they just released a second one?
Yeah.
Have you got it?
Well, I'm not going to get it yet because I've seen what it does versus the old one. It's got a couple of cool upgrades.
Can't justify the cost of it.
Yeah. Not yet, especially since I've been investing in more analog equipment lately as well, and that's giving me a really big full analog sound that a lot of saturation and plug-in emulations try to do. So, and I'm very much mixing hybrid nowadays. But Mixbus TV, so sick, dude. He's so incredible stuff.
Sweet.
So I will send you his page. Just check it out when, in between mixes when you're having a coffee. I check his stuff out. Oh my God, he does gear reviews as well. Really cool shit.
Cool.
But there's a handful of those out there, and that information is, it's so interesting that there's all this information out there that is being shared, and it's just like, I don't know, people aren't afraid to give out the secrets. It's like,
but it's just interesting how there's no, this is the one way to do it.
There isn't. Like, that's for sure.
That's what we realize. You just have to have a bit of confidence in your own method, right? Because, someone might look at you and be like, how the fuck do you do that? That's crazy. And they could be one of those guys. Yeah. So, like there's just different techniques and styles and taste.
That's very important.
And I think that's something that people come to you for more than anything is your taste.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that line before. Not because, some of the top dudes have said that. Not because they have any compressor you want. They've got, you name it, this and that, years of experience. But it's sometimes what not to do, what not to use. Doesn't need tons of reverb. Let's try it dry. That's a taste choice. Wow, that really works in this. But that's the 10,000, 20,000 hours working,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's about how you put it all together. There's no one secret. It's all of it and how you put it all together.
Yeah, it's just getting work done. That's the other thing. You can just get caught up on it, and if you're not delivering something regularly, then that's the only metric. Like as a producer, your job is to produce something. So, and a lot of people forget that, leave things on their hard drive. And yeah, I try to become now more just open to just, either dropping stuff, or if people want to hear a track and in my mind it's not finished, they want to hear the song because they like it, just send it.
Yeah, they don't know all the intricacies that are in your head about like, fuck, my snare sounds like shit. They just want to hear the song.
Yeah,
you know?
and if they leak it, and it blows up, fucking sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you like, do you try and make an effort to finish stuff that you've started, or are you okay just abandoning a project if you feel like it's not going anywhere?
I try to get everything as close to finished in the first session as possible, because generally I find the next time I look at something, I'm in a different mood, and it's like I want to kind of just be ironing out the kinks for like an hour the next time, rather than spending fucking weeks and weeks on it. It's different with the more creative stuff I do, the more like EDM kind of trap stuff that's like really technical sound design and stuff.
Sure.
Because that, you're trying to come up with new sounds. So you're being very experimental. But if it's just like a hip hop song or something, it's just, let's just try to get this done. Keep the emotion of the artist. The artist is the most important thing. So you're trying to just support them with the music there.
Yeah. That's the role of the producer in a lot of ways, isn't it? Being like making sure they've got everything they need and they get the best result.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist, best friend, coach, parent.
Yeah, relationship counselor, all of that.
And like chaperone, maybe.
Yeah,
don't
definitely
take no more lean tonight.
Yeah.
No more lean.
I haven't worked with anyone who's had lean, and that's like the funniest thing. Like
maybe it's like not as trendy anymore, because a couple years ago, man, there were bottles of codeine
really
all over this place, and Mountain Dew, like you would not believe.
Crazy.
Like I also, don't work in A anymore hardly at all. So there's a different crowd that books that room with bigger groups of friends, and it's a fucking penthouse.
Yep.
It turns into a party room. When people come up here in B, the dudes that I really fuck with and spend a lot of time working with, it's just me and them, because we come to work. Mm-hmm. And they usually come sober or maybe have a joint. But
that's interesting. What do you find to be the best result for a record out of both of those? Like the party vibe kind of thing, or just the locked in, focused?
It depends on what the song calls for, I suppose. If it is just an ignorant club record, maybe it's okay. Yeah. To be zooted, as the kids say these days, off of lean and going to the parking lot every couple minutes to, work on that blunt. Yeah. And then there's the songs that require like, maybe if for that traps, the wavy trap stuff, the mumbly stuff might work. But I do work with a lot of guys as well. Like shout out to my dude Ray Gamma, who just put out an album, and we worked our butts on that. I mixed 13 songs on that, and he is a MC. There's no way he's coming in here all banged up, because he's got like really intricate wordplay and skills, and he's MCing, so he's got to come in level-headed and get to work. So I guess it's the
song,
it's the genre, it's the song.
Because I noticed that with like Race Remed, they kind of do the party turn up thing, and obviously I think that shows in the music. Super simple. Just, like fuck, a lot of that shit's like even off keys sometimes.
Doesn't matter.
But it works.
It's working. Yeah. So I don't know. There's never any rule.
Yeah.
There's no rule. There's no right or wrong to any of this. It's about how can we capture a feeling that somebody is going to connect with. And
there's an audience for both.
And there is an audience for both.
We are an audience of both at different times. And that's important. It's important when you're like showing music to people as well. Like you've got to, maybe sending a link to someone over SoundCloud at the wrong time might not be the best way for them to hear your music. It's, if you're together and you're sharing a good experience, then you show something, it's going to have a different impact.
It will. Yeah. Timing is really important, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You learn that like through DJing, that you know, you can play the best fucking song, but you played it at the wrong time. It's the worst song.
Yeah. Feel like a stand-up comedian has to read the room, feel the room. I'm sure like DJing's got it be similar too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long ago did you get into all this? Like, do you remember when you first, like, what was your first experience of recording or making a beat or music? And do you remember why you wanted to do that in the first place?
Yeah, probably about 8 years ago, I started, I got a piano for the house, like a digital piano, and I started just playing some stuff. I used to play when I was younger. And then I was like, fuck, I really suck. I need to like learn from somebody who's good. And I hit my old best friend up from high school, Sean Pickett. He was a DJ, Command Q, and they toured around Australia, and Diplo used to play their music and stuff like that. And I was like, man, just teach me an instrument. And then he got me into production, like straight away, just like go buy a fucking MacBook, buy all this stuff. Like you'll be hooked, trust me. Like, and, yeah, he was right. So yeah, I did that and did a couple of lessons over here at School of Remix with a guy called Conrad Old Money, who just ended up being like one of my best mates.
Awesome.
And he was already like killing it. Like his band was, like Illmind. I don't know if you know Illmind. He's like a producer of like everybody, Drake and all that now. And they were in a band together. And he was doing more of the traditional producer stuff, you know, recording as well and making songs. And so he kind of took me under his wing. And yeah, that was the most addictive thing for me, rather than just making beats and being alone. And
right.
Yeah. I like people. So and fucking different, interesting people that we get to meet.
Yeah, dude. And so what was the first, was it Ableton then? Was that the first DAW you got your MacBook and you...
Actually, I used to use a little bit of FL Fruity Loops back in high school, but I didn't have a computer, so I'd like steal my friend's computer and make something and like, you know, export it and couldn't save it kind of deal. I've actually got those songs today, which is pretty funny.
Oh, those are fun to go back and listen to. Yeah.
So bad.
I don't know,
like everything was like 180 BPM, like just really hype, like weird drum and bass that just didn't make sense. Like, just teen angst. Mm-hmm. But mainly Ableton. I picked up Pro Tools just so I can kind of use it in different studios and stuff like that. But I find I can't be as creative with the like vocal editing on the fly. So I went back to Ableton for that. Yeah. It kind of sucks that we don't have the playlisting capabilities, but...
Oh, right. Pro Tools does. Yeah,
so it's a few extra clicks, but I find like the benefit of, you know, I can just click on a waveform and pitch something straight away if I need to get it right. So it's pretty handy.
And so from there, like how long was it before you released something that you'd made and
I released something within like 2 months.
Oh, wow.
I think. Really fucking bad. I don't know. I've always kind of just put stuff out, and I think it's helped me because I get that feedback. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to do the biggest fucking hit song today. I'm trying to like, you know, be able to do hit songs all the time. Sure. So I want to get as good feedback as possible, and it opens doors, right? So you can connect with people that you couldn't connect with if you just, you know, sat on all your music.
That's the hardest part for a lot of people is putting themselves out there, and that's a skill. It really is a skill, you know. And it's something that for years and years and years I was so bad at when I used to make my own music, you know, because that's how I started. I got started in all this. I used to MC and make beats, and I'd record myself. But I spent 99% of my time doing that, and 1% of it posting, hey, check my music out, hitting people up. I don't know. It was for sure like an insecurity, but I'm just also very introverted. It was a million things, but it's personality, and it's like that was not a skill I possessed.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because you're like, you know that something might isn't the fucking like a Phil Collins in the air tonight. Well, I mean, you think that, you know? You're like, this isn't as good as that, but you know, you got to just put shit out. You can't just, you know, you just, you have to. And like for me, it's like if one person really fucks with something, and you get those people that just love one song you did, even if it's like not even a big one, and like I feel like that just keeps it going for you.
Totally. Yeah, that feedback from people, the genuine feedback, like even if it's just one or two fans, but they send you an email or something and it's, you know, that it's real. It's not just like this shit slaps, bro. It's like a real like message. Like this shit touched me. Wow. Yeah. Thank you. Like, let me go make another one. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of like little wins like that in what we do, and that's what keeps you going for sure. Even like just having access, like for me, it's just access to like better and better, or more talented people. I guess that's the coolest thing, you know, because you can't just like hit up Drake on IG and work with him tomorrow. But you know, you can see there's a progression of people in the industry that are connected to the top, and you know, you just gotta earn your stripes and just become as fucking good as you can.
What are your aspirations? Like, how far do you want to take this, and what do you work, or is there anything you're working towards? Is Unkle Ricky happy doing where he's at right now? What's the big vision?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've realized with some like goal planning recently that I'm basically doing what I want to be doing, you know, when I've technically made it. It's the same thing. I still want to be just working with fucking cool people. Yeah. And like leaving the studio stoked that we've made something that's like super fun and had a good time. It's just, you know, better equipment, or, you know, in a fucking studio somewhere like, you know, tropical, or, you know, whatever, like just
helicopter landing pad.
You know,
that's my goal.
Shit, like just just being in nice resorts and stuff. Yeah. But
I hear you. Yeah.
You know, like watching interviews with a lot of those guys, they're kind of like, I miss the fucking, you know, the limitations and the grit and stuff like that they had to have to put in the music. So like I just listened to Kashmir. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a DJ producer, does a lot of EDM stuff.
It sounds familiar.
But his like samples and plugins are like insane now. Everyone's got Kashmir samples and stuff.
Okay.
Pretty much every pop record or EDM record is using his risers or something at least.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was saying there like it's hard for him, especially like when he was, you know, starting out. Yeah, he could just get better music, more emotion and stuff like that. Flume is another one where he talks about how he'll you know, he makes better music when he's tired at airports and stuff like that. Even though he's got like the insane studio now in LA, he rathers to make music in those ways.
Isn't that interesting? Something about those real, genuine moments where it's coming from a feeling that you're feeling at that time, as opposed to, you know, let me post up in this air-conditioned $1 million studio with Augsburgers and whatever, and like try and make something, as opposed to, oh, this is happening now in an airport. Let me get out my laptop. Capturing real feelings.
Yeah. I once made a beat in the emergency room in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And there was like a crackhead trying to like rip a TV off a wall at the same time. It was fucking gold. I sent it to this rapper in Australia and he actually used that beat. So that was pretty cool.
Just murked it, I bet. Wow. Yep. It's a fun industry we work in, man. We're lucky.
How about yourself? What are your goals for all the music stuff?
Every time I leave Studio B, I have a moment and I stand at the threshold of the door and I turn around and I look and I have to, like, my brain I have to do like a reset. Like I have to reboot my computer in my head, being like, this is where I get to work. This was my vision. This was my goal 10 years ago. I still don't have a little bamboo. All I need is a little bamboo and I'm set. I want a studio with a little bamboo. But I mean, all jokes aside, like, there's nothing more that I I want right now. Like you said, I just want to continue working with cool artists. I'm building some really tight relationships with a few regular people here that are working with me exclusively, and we're starting to really just gel together and get really special fucking stuff coming out of here. And keeping that going, just keeping the feelings going, keeping the music. We're doing this because we love music, right? So just to be able to continue doing that, I mean, looking at you know, it was, you know, our taxes are due on Monday, everybody.
Already got my return.
Me too. Yeah. But looking at, like, you know, being self-employed and looking at year after year how I'm doing, and it's like, we're talking, you know, it's like exponential year after year, putting in the work, seeing the results, and seeing the fruits of the labor is so rewarding. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad to have like a nice Juno plaque next to my gold record here. I wouldn't be mad at that. I'm not opposed to that type of success, but I'm not. It will. If I don't get that, it won't be like this is all for nothing.
It's gonna be
enjoying the journey, man.
It's gonna be an interesting time when we do have all the plaques and stuff, because then it's like, what now? You know, like.
Yeah,
because I feel like then, you know, yeah, you'll definitely love what you're doing, but then we're always pushing the envelope. So it'd be interesting what we all decide to pursue that's not music related,
right?
Or
yeah,
if it's like, you know, teaching or, you know, whatever.
I would love to teach this. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, actually.
Sweet.
But I love when people ask questions, when artists are curious, and I'm like, yeah, this is, you know, that you filter, this is the telephone EQ, and this is how it looks like, and that's why it sounds the way it does, and explaining shit, like just nerding out on this shit. And
it's the best way to learn things too, because if you got to explain it to someone who's never seen something before, like a compressor or something,
yeah,
you know?
and talk them through it.
Fuck.
So yeah, I'm genuinely just so passionate about this, so grateful to be in the position I'm in. I just want to continue doing it, and then educate another generation of young students that are graduating. I graduated 8 years ago, dude. I can't believe it. But like young students coming out, I would love to mentor someone who's stoked about engineering and teach what I know and share my knowledge and just continue being passionate about it. So,
and there's just so much to learn from them as well. That's one thing that's really interesting. It's like, you know, look at us compared to like older dudes that we're learning from. They're learning from us because we're up on some technologies that they've, you know, or they might have some hang-ups around using certain things.
Yeah.
And then, you know, kids these days, it's that again. So it's, yeah, it's like, it's very transactional. It's not just a one-way, we know everything and they're learning from us too. So
absolutely. It goes both ways. There's so much stuff that I, you know, like Oz, who's working with Boslin right now. He's, you know, a whole generation younger than me, but I asked him to come in a couple weeks ago and pick his brain, man, because I don't have an ego about that. I'm like, I'm okay to learn from anybody. It's like, let's talk, let's share, like, and then we can all learn together. We can all get better together. So
even non-musical people, sometimes it's like that's important because we're always bouncing everything around producers and engineers and stuff like that. But you send something to someone that has no way of even communicating music stuff, you know, they're just like, this part's annoying or like whatever. And then like, you know, that's probably the most valuable feedback because it's like they're only hearing the emotion of the music or something, you know, like.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's good to be open to, like dropping the ego and just listening to those people.
My wife is my secret weapon.
Oh, shit.
Honestly, man, she will tell me, well, first of all, she tells me exactly what she thinks, but like from someone with no musical background, no engineering expertise, none of that. She's a nurse, but I play it for her and it's like, whoa, man. And it gets bounced off of her. Like, damn, that's valuable from that perspective. Jesus. So yeah, I love, she is like my go-to plug-in, man. Like, for sure. I love that. Or even,
I feel like we have different songs that, like, I feel like
Other
we
friends,
have some
people.
songs that we have to have for the producers and engineers and good artists, because it's, that's, you have to show that you can do some stuff. But then for the average listener, like those songs are going to go over their head, be too complicated or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like we can do both.
What's your favorite way of checking a mix and finding out that something's wrong with it? Like you mentioned you have the speakers in the studio, the car check. Is there anything else that you do that's really surprised you or like revealed something?
I just bought Soothe 2.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah, so you got the little harmonics thing, you can click on that. But
Soothe 2 you said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried Soothe 2, but
So it's
Soothe
for-
is amazing.
yeah, it's made for like more of the mix, I think, rather than just vocals.
Just vocals. Oh,
So
cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So even like you can clear up some of the muddy low end and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's a nice one now that I can just throw on the master chain and be like, I can kind of trust that a bit.
Yeah. It's a bit of a security net.
Yeah. Laptop speakers, obviously, that's just, you can tell something's harsh pretty quickly on that.
Yeah.
Actually, fucking the best thing for sure is recording something on the iPhone, like, a little Instagram fucking video.
Yeah.
And just hearing how things sound on that. Because immediately I can tell if a vocal's too loud or too quiet, or if there's a fucking hi-hat that's piercing through the speaker.
Okay, so playing your mix out of the speakers and recording it in the room off the phone.
Yeah,
and then playing it back off the phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's, to me, is the quickest way, for
Yes,
sure.
that's-
Because your ears just get so tricked by the speakers in the room after a while. So
And you're really stepping back. I mean, there's two dimensions of separation in that when you're playing it back through a playback.
Yep.
And you really hear it in a new way.
Yeah, I would say over anything, that's the best. For sure.
That's a secret.
Especially for vocals, because it's hard to tell if a vocal's too loud or too quiet sometimes. But yeah, that's like a really good one.
That's one of the holy grails. Low end and getting the vocal to sit in the mix really well. Mm-hmm. And the more time I spend on that, the longer I'm in this world, the more I obsess about it. I find there's like a few ways to look at it. Over the years, let's just talk about hip hop for a sec. If you play a hip hop song from 1990 and you play Future in 2020, the amount of compression and sidechain or parallel compression and saturation on and how loud it is compared to a Nas song from 1994. It's night and day. It's Eminem Infinite versus the latest album. I mean, the way that the vocals are mixed, totally different. But then also within that each decade, there's also room for taste and experimentation, and there isn't really a right or a wrong level for the vocal. It's just, does it sound good in the context of that mix? Sometimes they're too loud. Sometimes I'm like, wow, this is like a lot quieter than I would have mixed it on like a pro mix.
Yep.
But it works for that song.
Yep.
Interesting, right? And it's the most important instrument in the song, right? So it's so much focus goes towards the vocal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially now. Now it's very, like, I don't know if you've noticed, like, the rise of like lo-fi music, which is like one of the biggest genres on like Spotify and stuff like that. And things don't sound big, they don't sound loud, they don't sound clean, and people really like that. So as an engineer, once again, we're learning to break our own rules.
Yes.
And just experiment. So, but I mean, yeah, I think the key now is do both. You don't have to be one or the other. Just put a lo-fi song out, and then put out a pop record, put out a hip hop record, put out a rock song.
Yeah, there is a market, there's an audience for all of it, and that's okay. There's always going to be an audience for really well recorded, polished, mixed and mastered, like larger than life records, and then there's, like you said, lo-fi stuff is coming out, getting more and more popular, or singer-songwriter, a dude with an out-of-key voice and a fucking acoustic guitar.
Yep.
That shit sells as well. Mm-hmm. So, hey, it's whatever you're into, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. How long we've been doing this? I feel like it's been an hour and a half already. Jesus. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to go over? Anything you want to share with people? Any artists that you're working with right now that we ought to know about that are about to pop? Anything like that?
Every artist I'm working with at the moment is about to pop. Woo! Yeah, this is just really good guys right now. And girls. Mm-hmm. Working with Boslin, Jamon, Jax, Sharuk, Messiah, Junk, Jade Monet, some guys in Toronto, S4G4, Love down in LA, it's good, super cool R&B voice. Probably a bunch more that I've forgotten, sorry guys. And then producers, some really good producers here. Mason Rex, young Max Z.
Oh yeah,
Dude, he's a beast.
Yeah, that dude is talented, man.
Yeah. So many. So I don't know. Follow my Spotify, you'll see. So,
where are you on social media? Where can people find you? What are the handles?
So Instagram, it's Unkle Ricky, spelled with a K, UNKLERICKY, and then an extra Y because for some reason that one was already taken. And okay. But yeah, anything else you can just Google Unkle Ricky with a K and it'll show up, which is nice.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, you work with millions of people. Is there any of your personal stuff that we should know about? Like, can we promote a link to that, or it's all going to be on your SoundCloud?
Mainly Spotify. That's
Spotify.
The main one I'm pushing these days. So
Spotify.
I'm trying to put something out every couple of weeks or 3 weeks. So,
do you have a SoundCloud because it's free for people that don't have a Spotify subscription?
True. Spotify is free though. You just get the ads.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But I do have a SoundCloud, but to be honest, I haven't really pushed it for a while. It just seems so saturated and dead these days. That...
Yeah. That's the next frontier for me, was to get the podcast on Spotify. That's what I'm thinking about. My bad. No, because the podcast is on Apple Music, but for Spotify, there was a whole nother paywall and blah, 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 blah,
right.
blah. So, but that's the big one, man. I mean, Rogan's about to be there, so trying to get this show on there. But yeah, we, absolutely. Unkle Ricky with a K on Spotify. And then there's, people will go down the rabbit hole, dude, there and find everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Wicked. Well, let's wrap it up.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. This was good.
Thank you, man.
Let's nerd out after this with some plugins.
Yeah. We'll do a little show and tell for sure. And don't let me forget to take your headshot.
Cool.
So this is Max DeShaw. I'm with Unkle Ricky, and it's Demo to Limo. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, and we will see you next time. Take care. Peace.